So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Gladys Habu to the conference. Gladys is a pharmacist in the Solomon Islands at the National Referral Hospital. Also Miss Solomon Islands in 2019-2020. She is a UNICEF Pacific supporter and supports the work of the Pacific Island students fighting climate change. So fabulous to have you here. Thank you. Gladys is already in the future by 10 hours, so it's her evening. I'll hand over to you, Gladys. Welcome.
Thank you. Can I just confirm if you can hear me clearly?
We can hear you clearly.
Perfect. I'm just gonna share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. Good morning, everyone. I bring you warm greetings from my home country here in the Solomon Islands, the beautiful Happy Isles in the South Pacific. My name is Gladys, as you've heard, and I am so humbled to be here. Please allow me this time to say thank you to Lorna, Jane, and Lizzie for putting in so much effort into making this experience possible for me. It is an absolute honor to be your keynote speaker to launch the Next Steps plan by the South Shropshire Climate Action Team for the Ludlow constituency. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. Like all of you, I too come from a rural community, so I will be giving you a brief perspective of what it is like facing the climate crisis from a Solomon Islanders view. Views are my own and not affiliated or not part of any organization that I am affiliated with. So I hope you learn as much as possible from this. I'll start off by just sharing a brief background of Solomon Islands, just to give you some understanding of where I come from. And then I'll share with you some examples of the impacts of climate change in our community and how this has sort of helped to drive my climate advocacy. And towards the end, before we close, we'll come to talk about why it is significant that we are all working to build a climate safe future for all of us, and how your Next Steps plan ties in well into helping us achieve this future. So Solomon Islands has been for a while part of the British, or it was a British protectorate until July 7th in 1978, when we gained our independence. We have 10 provinces and over 900 plus different islands scattered within our archipelago. So as you can see in the image on the side, Solomon Islands is in the heart of Oceania, which many climate advocates like to call the blue continent, since we've got more ocean than we do land mass in our part of the world. We have a population of over 721,000, very culturally diverse, and we speak over 70 different languages. Thankfully, English is still our official language for study and work purposes, so we can communicate with all of you around the world. So I come from Santa Isabel. It is the longest island here in Solomon Islands, and we only have about 35,000 people. Our village is called Kia. It's in northwest of Santa Isabel province, and as you can see in the image, most of our people live in traditionally built houses on stilts above the water. So you can start to imagine what sea level rise has or impacts on our people. Since the pre-industrial times, global carbon dioxide emission has reached over 1.65 trillion tons, and only 10.16 million tons come from the Solomon Islands, which is a very negligible figure. As you can see, it's less than 0.01% of all emissions. And yet we are one of the countries that is facing the direct consequences of climate change at the front line. We feel that this is very unfair, but communities like yours who are taking ambitious steps to building back better mean a lot to us. and therefore very grateful to be part of this significant a moment for your constituency. Sadly, you know, for us and all of us around the world, the changing climate is becoming a daily challenge for our people. So the following slides now will be an illustration of the impact of climate change in our village. And all photos shared are my own. Firstly, rising sea levels. Here you can see our outdoor kitchen and my younger brother who's playing outside. This is back in 2005 when we first experienced one of the highest tides we've ever seen. It destroyed our kitchen back then and we were forced to build a new one. Our habitats are also disappearing as well. So these are a couple photos that I took just a few meters from where I stay of our mangrove ecosystems being completely destroyed. This used to be home to many species, including mud clams and mud crabs that are part of our diet. Unfortunately, today they are now dead and this area is barren. The ocean is also warming up, so you can see the impact of coral reefs bleaching. And this is reported widespread throughout the country and other Pacific Island countries as well. So definitely our marine life is threatened, both quantity and quality wise. And climate change is also disrupting our agriculture, which I'm sure that you are also seeing in your community as well. So unpredictable and extreme weather patterns are affecting our crop yield, such as very long periods of hot weather or flash flooding during cyclone season. This is altering our traditional diet. It is impacting on our income from harvest and ultimately affecting our food security. So you're probably now wondering, okay, what really drives my climate advocacy? You see, many islands in the Pacific are disappearing, and the loss of our beloved Kale is my drive for climate advocacy. Kale Island was home to my grandparents a couple of generations back, and according to the scientist Dr. Simon Albert and his colleagues from Queensland University who did some studies in Northwest Isabel, Kale used to be 12 acres. In a matter of 5 years, Kale disappeared. So this is photos that I took one day when we decided to go for a picnic, and it was just no longer there, which is really, really, really sad for us.
Will you show the
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So you've seen this one, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so today this is what Kale looks like. June, July is usually when we have the lowest tides during the day, so you can see a little bit of sand. But by December, this is when we get highest tides during the day. And if you look closely enough, you'll see some birds on the dead stamp. They too don't have a home anymore, which is quite sad. So these last few minutes, I will share with you a little bit on what we're doing in our own capacity to protect what we have left in our little settlement. So we relocated our old house to a new area, and we built up on higher and stronger stilts with more permanent building materials so it could last longer. But unfortunately, the sea level rise issue continues to be a problem for us. Then we also built stone walls along the coast to protect from further erosion, and we planted mangroves as well. So by 2020, there's a bit more greenery than there was in 2012. We also built stilted walkways to avoid having to walk through the sea when the tide comes up each day. And that's a picture of myself nailing the planks together, helping my dad and brother. And this is just a few photos to show what it is like day in, day out. So high tide, low tide, and same here as well. You know, unfortunately, our efforts are very limited. Many communities can only do so much. Here are a few photos from another island in the Solomons, and you can see not only are there root crops dying, but sea level rise is also taking away taboo sites such as graveyards, and it's exposing remains of those who have gone before us, which is even more sad. Honestly, time is running out, and I've selected these two images to show the urgency to all of you. And this was taken during my community awareness with the UNICEF team in a village in Malaita province. So the photo up here with the vehicle is taken at 1 p.m. when we arrived at our location for the awareness talk. And in a matter of 3 hours, we couldn't take the vehicle back because the whole area was just covered in seawater. Imagine what this place would be like in the next 10 years or so. We definitely need your help. Unfortunately, many communities struggle to adapt to these challenges. Although we are fighters and we are doing our best, we have limited relocation options, limited resources and support. And the image on the side there is a recent photo I took of myself to show the amount of plastic waste that's being washed up on the shore. And in my hand is a bleached coral as well. And I'm thinking, you know, we are a region of relatively low carbon footprint, yet we are paying a very high price whilst the rest of the world continues to develop unsustainably and rapidly. So with all of that, honestly, the South Shropshire's Climate Action Next Steps Plan is indeed a significant step forward, and I'm inspired by all the work that your community has done. And I know my people, many of my people will also appreciate this. What you and your community is doing will touch many people worldwide, especially us here in the Pacific, because at the end of the day, Earth is our home, and together our collective efforts will build a climate-safe future for all. So with that, I want to say that with all the work that you're doing, none of it is too small. Every single step that you take is part of a far greater effort that many of us are taking around the world to build our planet back better. And now more than ever, this global pandemic gives us the opportunity to live a new normal, a greener normal. And so I'd like to say congratulations to South Shropshire Climate Action and the Ludlow constituency on your next steps plan to reach net zero by 2030. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you ever so much, Gladys. Could we give a round of applause? That was just beautiful.